Hello, so I'm gonna do one of my talks, I guess. This one is a little different. This one is not about like regular life, I guess, or like finances as much as it's about politics. So, I'm just gonna get right into it. Basically, I'm trying to make sure the camera and everything is angled right. So basically, this is about politics because we have a lot of people. I see a lot of people basically bitching, ranting, whatever you want to call it. Um, in our generation, the Gen Zs, the millennials, even the Gen Xers, you know? But let me explain why the system feels rigged and is rigged. I'll explain why. Because it's our fault that it's rigged. Yeah, I said it. It's your fault, my fault, or whoever is doing what I'm about to talk about's fault. First of all, let's talk about the importance of, and this is a general life lesson that I learned in 2020, the importance and difference between a worrier and a planner. That is a serious thing. Our generation has a very, very, very hard time with the worrying aspect. We worry about everything. Everything. But is anyone in our generation really planning for any of these issues? No. Stop worrying, start planning. Life is going to throw shit at you every single day. It is. It's a fact. Life is a test. It's not supposed to be easy. It's not. Point blank, period. So just get that idea out of your head right there. So you need to be a planner instead of a worrier. I used to worry all the time. And do I worry sometimes still? Yes, I do. But you don't let yourself stay there. At the end of the day, you do not let yourself stay there. You stop worrying. You say, look, what is the issue? Ask that. That's the first question you ask. What is the issue? The second thing you ask is, what can I do to fix it? And the third question is, how likely is this to affect me? Or somebody I know or love? That is what you ask. And the last question is so that you don't think about it anymore. That's why you ask that question, because you made a plan already. That's what the second question is for. Because you write that down. Or you do something with that. You don't just say, oh, this is what I could do about it, and then do nothing. That makes you a dummy. So, with that being said, that includes for politics. We live in a representative democracy, and although it is rigged in a lot of ways, it's not rigged in all the ways that people think. So let me first talk about an issue that I actually care deeply about myself. Black Lives Matter and all of these things. You know, the police chief and all of that. Did you know you actually get to vote for who is going to be these things? Who's going to be the mayor? Who's going to be the police chief? Who's going to be whatever? Yeah. You either knew and didn't care, or you didn't know. And that's a problem, because you can not complain about the police chief if you didn't even go out and vote. You can vote for the person. Hell, you can even vote for who is going to be the person who represents the Democratic Party if you're registered with the Democratic Party, or the Republican Party on the ballot. So please stop with the bitching and just go vote. It really makes me mad that young people especially only go to vote during presidential elections, when the president is one of the most insignificant elections in your life. And that's the honest truth. It's so insignificant. And let me explain why. The president is only the executive of the federal government. The federal government has nothing to do with your police department. They have nothing to do with the roads that you drive on. They have nothing to do with any of that shit. They don't even have to do with the schools, really. They don't have much, if anything, to do with the schools that your kids go to or that you go to. But your local officials do. They do. And they matter because they are the ones who make the decisions on what streets are going to get paved this week. Or not this week, this year. What schools are going to get what kind of budgeting. Are we going to increase property taxes this year? Which they almost always do. Are we going to... All of these things that affect you in your daily life actually comes down to your local government. Even choosing to increase speeding ticket fines, all of that crap is the local government, and you don't even go to vote for them. And that does not have an electoral college. That is literally like a pure, unfiltered count. The count that they use to figure out who is going to be, your representative is unfiltered. There's no electoral college, no nothing. It's not even rigged. The only thing is that the only people who seem to go to do that are elderly people who tend to not like change. You know why elderly people don't like change? And this is not anything against them. It's just a fact. Change doesn't affect them in any positive way. And the only thing that they are going to see from most change might be higher taxes. So if anything, most change is actually a negative effect for anybody realistically over like 65. That's a fact. And those are the people who are controlling the vote. Because none of you young people are going out to vote in the local elections. You only care about the presidential elections, when the president has little to no effect on your daily life. They do not control if plows are going to come down your street. They don't control the budget for that. They don't. They don't even control the minimum wage in your state. That's a local government too. They don't control whether your state's going to legalize weed or whether you're going to have higher gas taxes or higher sin taxes on, cigarettes and alcohol. They don't do any of that, but your local officials do. So if you want to know what you can do to stop these issues, including segregation, because believe me, the feds are not really involved in segregation like that anymore. They actually banned their involvement in that. It's the local governments that are upkeeping it. Seriously. And then you go and you vote for the feds, but you don't vote for the local governments. And then you complain because there's so much segregation. Segregation, and I'm not just talking racial segregation. I'm talking income segregation. Any kind of segregation you can think of. It all comes down to the local governments. Even housing's affordability comes down to local governments and has very little to nothing to do with the federal government. And when the federal government was helping make housing affordable, all they were doing was helping you get a loan to do that. And guess what? They still kind of do that. It's called an FHA. So, maybe you should consider going out to vote for your local elections. But yeah. I guess that's really all I have to say politically, but don't worry about things. Ugh, it's such a drag. Just plan for them. Like people who are worried about the zombie apocalypse. I mean, maybe don't go crazy. Maybe don't go crazy with it. But, you're worried that the grid is going to go out? I literally was a little worried about that myself. So I bought a solar panel generator. I don't need to get gas. I don't need to do any of that shit. I just need to put it up on my roof. It came with a battery and all of that, and it was like $200 something. That's literally all it costs to plan. It really doesn't cost that much. It can cost you a lot more if you don't plan. And actually, your worrying costs you a lot of money because time is money. And how much time are you spending just worrying about shit that you have no control over? And yeah, I did that pause because you needed to think about it. It's crazy because people do it all day long. Like, they're worried about the wrong shit. Plan. 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 Don't WORRY. Why do that? It doesn't make any significant difference in your life. It really doesn't. But people will worry all day. I'm one of them who used to do all of that. But it's so bad for you. It really is. It increases your heart rate. It makes you have health problems. It's like such a drag, too. It makes you more likely to have all kinds of issues. Anxiety, depression, hopelessness. All kinds of crap. So stop with the worrying and just plan for things. Don't go crazy, but have a little plan. You don't have to have it all figured out at once. Do you figure out the exact way that you're going to drive before you drive? Do you figure out that you're going to put your signal on at, 10:53 and 26 seconds? No, you just do it when you get there. So just do that. That's how you live life. You plan for what you can and then you do what you can when you get there. It's simple. It's much more simple that way. Okay? So, people, just calm down about that crap and do what you can to change the stuff that you can. Okay? Because you can vote. And even if you don't think it makes much of a difference, it doesn't in the presidential election. But believe me, it does in your local election. There are local elections all across this country where the person chosen is literally chosen by one person. It'll literally be 1 or 2 votes different. So think about that next time. Okay? That's where you can really make the difference. Focus on... See, it's called the bullseye. That's what my parents used to tell me about. It's a bullseye. Focus on you, then your family, then your friends, then your neighborhood, then your community, then your, local, your bigger community, then your country, and then the world. But focus on yourself first. Okay? Bye.